Hello, I'm Nick Park, and this is the XXXY Files, a series of messages, podcasts, and videos from Evangelical Alliance Ireland on sexuality and gender, helping and equipping Christians to hold and share a biblical position with clarity and love. And this is file number 10, Trouble at School. Last week, we saw how LGBT and gender ideology is increasingly being promoted in various areas of public life, including in the classroom. And this can create potential conflict situations for both students and teachers. As we explained in our last episode, the educational system is part of the world in which we live. We are a Christian minority that lives in the world but are not of the world. We can certainly speak out about things that are inappropriate for children, but our children will still inevitably encounter things at school that are contrary to values that we hold in the church. Firstly, those of us who are parents need to instruct our children about what is right or wrong. We cannot delegate this task to schools or teachers. Biblically and constitutionally, we as parents hold the primary responsibility for all our children's education, but especially for their moral and spiritual development. Christian parents should not wait until their children have sex education classes at school and then try to react to what we see as wrong. We need to prepare our children by explaining that why God created mummies and daddies. We need to teach them that marriage is something created by God for a man and a woman to grow together in love for one another. And we need to warn our children to avoid that which is destructive, which is corrupting, which is selfish or dangerous. As we explained last week, parents have the right to withdraw their children from classes that are pushing ideology contrary to their faith. If your child is being pushed into something that you feel is inappropriate, then you can approach the school and state your objections. Emphasize that this is not about judging others, but that you are asking that your religious beliefs and rights should be respected. It is important that you do this calmly. Not always easy if you're nervous or annoyed. Ask the Holy Spirit to give you his peace. If a conversation becomes aggressive or overly confrontational, that quickly becomes the focus rather than the inappropriate content that started the whole problem off. There have been times when controversies have become very public, and it seems like a principle of religious freedom is at stake. But it turns out that a Christian has behaved in an ungodly way, and that has provoked a negative response and caused a situation to spiral out of control. Let's make sure that if we do end up in a conflict, that it is for the right reasons, not because we acted like a jerk. Older children will often be able to recognize when they are being asked to participate in something that is contrary to the values that they have been taught at home or at church. Again, encourage them to state their objections firmly but respectfully. Please do be careful not to prime your children to fight your battles on your behalf. Growing up was never easy, and it's harder today. And children are often highly sensitive to peer pressure. Don't pressurize them yourself or guilt trip them. Don't be too quick to judge them if they are not as keen as you are to make a stand against the prevailing ideology. Be aware that sometimes your children might fail to tell you about potential conflicts in the classroom precisely because they don't want you to step in and make a fuss. The same principles apply to teachers who are being pressurized to compromise their religious and moral convictions. As a teacher, you don't have the right to force your religious values and beliefs on others, on children, but neither does anyone else have the right to force you as a teacher to deny your beliefs and values. When it comes to LGBT and gender issues, we may all reach points where we have to decide the red lines that we are not prepared to cross. And this may be to do with the use of pronouns or addressing a student by a new chosen name. Not all Christians will agree on where to draw the line, but we should all agree that we have the right not to compromise our sincere religious beliefs and that we should behave in a Christian manner, even if others are being unjust to us. It is quite possible that some cases will end up being tested in disciplinary hearings or even in courtrooms. That is often how freedoms are recognized and established. If you find yourself in these kind of situations, we at Evangelical Alliance Ireland are available for advice, support, and if appropriate, we can act as expert witnesses or find others to fulfill that role. I once spent an entire week sitting beside a pastor in a courtroom, both to provide moral support and as an expert witness for the defence. Through our membership of the European and World Evangelical Alliances, we also have contact with a number of organisations that may be able to help you with their expertise and experience when it comes to your rights and freedoms. There have been a number of cases recently in various jurisdictions where religious liberties have been tested and where courts have found in favour of the believer. In each case, the key has been to focus on the principles at stake, principles that are often well-founded in national or European law or even under international human rights treaties. If cases get sidetracked into aggressive speech and behaviour, political partisanship or publicity seeking, then things can become much more difficult. Remember, even when we feel that we are being treated unfairly, we are still commanded to let our gentleness be evident to all. Philippians 4:5. We have not yet addressed what for us here in Ireland is the elephant in the room, the Enoch Burke case. Based on the foundation we've been laying so far in the XXXY files, I will be sharing some thoughts and drawing some lessons from that very public situation. So join us next week for episode 11 of the XXXY files. And feel free to get in touch with me at nick@evangelical.ie. As I say each week, I want to avoid misunderstandings. And if there are aspects we're missing out and need to cover, then I'd love to know about that. And when I teach this kind of material in a seminar or conference, then we usually have question and answer sessions. So please do feel free to get in touch if you need something clarified or have a concern, a criticism, or a word of encouragement. God bless you till next week.